down between speakers. Isn't that brilliant? Excellent. Protocols here are outstanding. I have to say to you, it's jolly, jolly exciting to be back speaking to humans in the room. As you can imagine, since the 27th of March, us speakers have been sitting behind our computers, speaking on Zoom, webinar, Blue Jeans, WebEx, etc., and no warm bodies in the room. Fantastic. I am going to ensure that you get bang for your buck in the next 80 minutes. So there are prizes to be had. As you know, I've got 2 daughters, and they're no longer around for me to bribe, so I will be bribing you. So there'll be things that you get as gifts afterwards, should you partake in the energy, dynamism, and what you're here to learn. So please, let's make sure that we make this time count together, and let's make sure that you get something out of the next 80 minutes that you can do differently back at home. I want to thank Kevin because I am president of the Professional Speakers Association of Southern Africa, and Kevin has been working with my vice president, Charlotte Kemp. And Charlotte and I are taking the PSA SA to new heights, and we are thrilled to be part of you guys. So as a Professional Speakers Association, we have 5 chapters. We have one in Cape Town, one in Durban, one in Pretoria, one in Johannesburg, and the 5th is a virtual chapter. If you'd like to know more about us, please go to psasouthernafrica.co.za. We do an incredible amount to encourage people to join us without paying initially. So our drive is that we would love you to come and see what we do. Attend one of the virtual chapter meetings we have once a month, and you do not pay. Attend a podcasting mastermind, and you do not pay. A book writing mastermind, and you do not pay. A women's speaker mastermind, and you don't pay. So our philosophy is we want to get you to see what we do. You're going to love it, and then you may join as an associate speaker or a professional speaker. We have grown the organization, Charlotte and I, in the last 2 years by 46%. There are lots of fantastic speakers out there who really are getting groomed to do great stuff, both in South Africa and obviously now that we are virtual, we've opened up platforms around the world. As the PSA say, we belong to the Global Speakers Federation. We're one of 17 countries that do. So we're really abreast of global trends. What's happening in your industry in terms of conferencing, what's happening in terms of protocols. We are seeing what's happening on the global stages. So if you'd like to get hold of me, you can get hold of me on president@psasa.co.za, and I'll answer any questions. And feel free to just come and see what we do and be part of our organization. We are really thrilled to be part of yours, so thank you, Kevin. And we'll work closely with you to make sure that we get government to open up conference venues and to get us all going again, because it's ripe and ready that we do get going again. I was only part of a little bit part of your panel, but I'm certainly behind everybody. Okay, so in terms of where to from here, it's really going to be about how can you as individuals boost your resilience. So if we have a look at resilience, it's very important that each of us think about our own resilience. So whatever part you're playing in the South African economy, I would like you to be strong, robust, healthy, with dynamic energy to get this economy that is hemorrhaging going again. So for us in the room and for people around the country, this is about you personally. It's about how do you make sure that your brain is firing on all cylinders? How do you make sure that you are adding value in your business? How do you make sure that you are starting to employ people again? We certainly need entrepreneurialism in this country. We need more people employed. So we can't do that unless each of us are strong and resilient. But for a prize, nothing for nothing, what does resilience mean to you? Anybody? This is a ball, so I can speak to people at the back of the room. So passive listening, you'll learn nothing. Kevin, what does resilience mean?
It's about getting up when you've been knocked down.
Very nice. It's certainly about getting up when you've been knocked down. His catching abilities are not as sharp as they used to be. So it's about getting up when you've been knocked down. But I look at 3 parts to resilience, because proverbially, in fact, if you look in the dictionary, it says bounce back. But I think there are 2 other parts on either side of that as individuals, as humans, going through a worldwide pandemic, we need to have a look at. So we need to make sure that we are prepared. So first point here is, what have you got in your imaginary resilience toolbox to be prepared? None of us could have been prepared for the pandemic. None of us, okay? How can you pivot your business? What are you going to do differently? What can you pull out of your resilience toolbox? To Kevin's point, it's about getting back up when you've been knocked down, the bounce back. And then really what I want to focus on today is the part 3, is the rebounding to the next normal. What can you do to bounce forward with agility? The business I run is called Resilient People. My payoff line is called Bounce Forward with Agility. We are going to have to recraft ourselves in many, many ways. So what can each of us do in the room in terms of your own business, in terms of the own area that you look after, to rebound forward in a vastly different way? So resilience is all about that. It's all about saying, how can I do my bit for my country? I'm a patriotic South African, and I really am looking at what I can do differently in this country. And PSASA, Southern Africa, we also look after neighboring countries. So we have got people from Botswana, from Kenya, from Zimbabwe, from Namibia tuning into our virtual masterminds and our virtual meetings. So as Southern Africa, I'm keenly interested as to how we resurrect our economies. I'm also keenly interested in the slide not going blank, in the fact that when I look at individuals, because as individuals we run businesses, as individuals we come together to collaborate. In fact, at the PSASA, one of our 4 values is #collaboration. How can we collaborate across industry sectors, across associations that belong here? How can we, from the South African Events Council, collaborate in different ways? And actually, you only bring out the best in yourself to collaborate when you are mentally sharp. So we need to be mentally sharp. Our health is our real wealth. I don't need to dwell on the bad stories. I don't need to dwell on the curve that we are in at the moment. Everybody knows that stuff. So what are you going to do about your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health? And the 4th part of resilience that I look at is your sense of purpose. So in 2 weeks' time, I am very gratefully going to be collaborating with people from Pakistan, from the US, from Europe, as in UK, and launching a resilience assessment tool, which has got 23 years of emotional intelligence algorithms in it, and it looks at 4 dimensions. It looks at resilience from mental perspective, emotional perspective, physical perspective, and a sense of purpose. I always say to my children, I'm not going to probably leave them very much money because I'm going to spend it all before I die, and I think I'll die in my, late 90s. So I'm not here to make money for them. What I am here to do is make sure that they have their own resilience toolbox, an imaginary resilience toolbox, and they have purpose on the planet. I have deep, deep purpose on the planet. So my purpose is to inspire resilience in practical ways. That's my very short purpose statement. I live a life of resilience. When my children were 7 and 9, I very tragically lost my husband to an aortic aneurysm. We were in business together, and it was a death that happened in 6 seconds. It was a death that happened when he was canoeing, representing South Africa in Hungary on a world canoeing event. So it was completely unexpected. So for those of us who are in business with significant others, you will know that if you lose 50% of your business as in a business partner, you reel. When you lose your husband, you reel. When you lose the father to your children, you reel. When you lose your paddling partner, he was also my paddling partner, and we were both studying the Enneagram through the New York Enneagram Institute at the time. So there are many sad stories. If I go down the tables here, we'll each tell our own sad story. But I tell you that because I walk the talk of resilience. I walk the talk of what can I do practically every day. So what am I doing today, Wednesday, to be more resilient? Okay. So I'm not sure why we are flashing, guys. Do you know? Not. Okay, so while we are flashing, let's stand up if you don't mind. And this is just so that I can take a sip of my coffee. Right. Okay, what I'd like to do while you stand up is simply just stretch your arms up. I'm going to talk a little bit about sitting as a new smoking later, but why are the arms up? Does anyone know Professor Amy Peddie's research from Harvard Business School? Oh, Kevin, this is genuine. He's thinking I'm going to trick him now and tickle him or something. I'm not coming over there. Yeah, okay, no, it's you. Does anyone know Amy Peddie, Professor Amy Peddie? If you've got time, please Google her and watch her TED Talk. She is quite brilliant. This research was done quite a few years ago. We're only going to stand like this for 8 minutes, so you should be fine. This lady is certainly not. Her research shows that if you stand like this for 2.5 minutes, and I'll kind of guess when 2.5 minutes is up, because I didn't check the time. Guess what? There are 2 hormonal changes that happen in your body. Us ladies have testosterone, Lauren. Did you know that? She has lots. Good. That's why she's here and kind of making things happen. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren, I give you full permission for your elbow to fling back in this kind of motion. Yes. So testosterone, us ladies have. Of course, you guys have. Some of you guys have. We'll check that out later. And that is your confidence hormone. That is the hormone that says, flip, July 2020, it's tough, and I need to launch something, do something different, experiment here, take a risk. We all need more testosterone. This happens in 2.5 minutes while you have your hands up. The second hormonal change that happens while you have your hands up is your cortisol level drops. Cortisol, is a stress hormone. It fries the synapses in your brain. And also, whether you're eating more or not during these very difficult times and cold Johannesburg times, cortisol gives you this Buddha belly. Did you know that? So some of you can just blame the cortisol. I'm not going to look anywhere particularly right now. Some of you are battling and saying, Joni, it's 2.5 minutes plus. Drop your arms. Thank you very much. Okay, look at Amy Peddie's research. I did that exercise also out of selfish reasons. And that's because when my children are finished studying, I wish they'd hurry up, I am going to go to Stanford University and become a neuroscientist. I am fascinated by the brain. I really am. It's just incredible. Did you know that 20 years ago, so just take your age now, and I'm in my mid-50s, so in my mid-30s, we did not know that your brain could grow new neurons on a daily basis. Did you know that? No. How many? 700 neurons a day you can grow. But guess what? You've got to do 3 things. You've got to eat well, move well, and sleep well. So just having stood up like that for a few minutes, you have grown a few neurons. And you will remember what I have to say, and you will take it home and implement it. Remember, my purpose on the planet is to inspire resilience in practical ways. So I want you to go home, speak about these things that you learned today, share them with your children, your significant others, etc. Because let's all be a nation of resilience, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So our health is absolutely our real wealth. Let's just again ask by show of hands, honesty hour, because I coach teams and I also coach individuals. And I have coached many people since the 27th of March. When I say many, in their hundreds. Where are you now from an energy perspective? So who, and please let's just be honest, who, and if you're watching this from your home, actually put your hand up and kind of partake. So, who's feeling not terribly energetic? So they're on a level of 1, 2, or 3, like flat. Hands up. Anyone feeling flat? Just like walking through mud on a daily basis. So people who are watching from other venues around the country, nobody in this room put their hands up. Who's feeling pretty stressed? 5, 6. Okay, so I would guess probably just over half. Who's feeling vum, vibrant? Okay. So this lady in the front put up 2 hands. I mean, isn't that impressive? Do you have a secret to share with us? Okay, so she's feeling vum, and could someone please do a little check on the alcohol levels in her cup, because maybe that's her reason. So we need to have a look at how can we use our energy, and how can we make sure that we have great energy. The brain only really thinks about how we can solve complex problems when we are feeling energized. You know, on a day that you're feeling doof, kind of chin to chest, you are really battling, you don't come up with your most innovative ideas. So energy is incredibly important. When I have a look at what's happening in our country, burnout is a big thing. And I'm seeing some successful teams. I have seen a team, it happens to be a banking team, in April 2020, they had their very best month ever, this team. But what am I seeing? They are on the verge of burnout. So the World Health Organization in May last year spoke about burnout, and it's now a chronic workplace stress that's not being successfully managed. I wonder what the World Health Organization is going to reframe this and rephrase burnout to, given what we're going through. So I just wanted to put up this slide. I mean, burnout's got 3 main triggers to it. So you don't feel like you've got a lot of energy, you don't have a great kind of connection with the work that you're doing, so there's a mental distance to that, and you have reduced professional efficacy. I've seen that in some of the businesses that I've dealt with, suppliers and people who their professionalism is really not up to scratch, and it should be always up to scratch. But the real reason, so those are the 3 ways of defining burnout, but the real reason I put up this slide is to say what I'm seeing in our country is it goes from people feeling like, jeepers, I'm working hard, there's no reward, I'm feeling buggered, I'm on MS Teams for this meeting, Joni, but I cannot put my camera on, I've put on 15 kilograms over lockdown, I feel dreadful, blah, 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 to going right down into, I just feel like there's no end in sight. When are we going to get out of this? Right down to this mental and physical exhaustion. And let me tell you, when you're on the slippery slope, the downward trend just takes you like a wave that knocks you off your feet. So we have got to look at how we manage ourselves as individuals, because you may think that you are managing well now, but something can just tip the scales and it knocks you. So I would like you to build your imaginary resilience toolbox so that when the unexpected happens, which it will, you can not only bounce forward, but bounce forward with agility and actually self-manage in a vastly different way. So I'd like you just to watch this. It's really about thriving, and it's about our businesses thriving. And this is really what we need, is to ensure that we do thrive. Oh, goodness. Why did it not play? It's not wanting to play. Let's just do this again. So what happens when you get older is that you feel energized, but your eyes don't always play the game. Have you noticed? Guys, have we got volume? running businesses, please make sure that your people are thriving. Share some of these resilience tips. I'm going to give you a lot of free resources. Just see what you can do differently. Okay, I know we are social distancing, but can I please ask you to verbally project and just speak to the person opposite you, or maybe even behind you? I'm just thinking behind may work better. And can you have a look at what is up on the screen right now and just answer to the person behind you or next to you, ergonomically figure out what's best for you. Where are you there? So if I just position it for you, is what we do have is 4 quadrants in the circle. We have got people who are feeling like they are working their bottoms off. Workaholics. It's not that easy. They're trying to change their businesses. Things aren't working fast enough. They're not getting, that kind of groundswell that they need. So those are the emotions that go with it. So there's high activation and energy, but it's not easy. Down here, there are people, can you believe it, that I'm dealing with in some industry sectors who are feeling bored. So obviously, if there's not a lot of transactions going on in their business area, they are bored. So they're dejected, lots of lethargy, very fatigued, and sad. So that has got a quick flow off to burnout. Low energy at the bottom. If we look here, people who are feeling satisfied, yes, it's okay, it's pleasant, I'm content, I'm calm, but satisfied doesn't really change the rules of the game, does it? It doesn't get us into the next normal. Where we want to be here is engaged as individuals in the work that we're doing. So we certainly finding it that we've got energy to give to it. It's pleasant. There's something exciting happening or about to happen. And therefore, these are the emotions that are linked to that. So I'm going to ask you to name it. In psychology, we have a phrase, name it to tame it. If I had to take you as an individual and slide you into a functional MRI and be monitoring your brain, the minute you say out loud what your emotions are and where you are, this left part of your brain, which is called the left ventricle, prefrontal cortex, this is the thinking part of your brain, simmers down and you start to think more clearly. So this is an exercise with gravitas. You need to name which quadrant you're in and the associated feeling that you have. Please say it out loud if you're sitting in your lounge or office at home. And I'm going to give you just literally 30 seconds each way. So turn around, find a partner, name the quadrant, and name the associated emotion. If everybody turns, that might be problematic. So rows 1 and 2 together. The lady in the red can maybe join one of those guys. Or get up and move around, it's even better. They're doing sign language there, this is good. Right, that was 30 seconds each way. I love the buzz in the room. It's absolutely fantastic. When you're working on Zoom meetings and sending people to breakout rooms, as a facilitator, I don't enter those breakout rooms because I think they should be private. And then you never know whether they're really talking or not, do you? So now the warm bodies in the room, I can see that you are speaking. This is great. Okay, so name it to tame it. You may want to take that phrase away with you. And when you're speaking to colleagues or speaking to people within your family, when they're going through their emotional roller coasters, which we are all going through, I study this stuff. I'm an emotional intelligence practitioner, but let me tell you, my emotional roller coaster is real and alive. So please make sure that you start to use the names of emotions. And I'm actually going to give you a fantastic tool when we speak about this more explicitly in Boost. So if we start to think about how you self-manage and your well-being, we start to think about how can we just make sure that we're doing the best we can on a daily basis. I can tell you categorically, I study IQ, intellectual quotient, EQ, emotional quotient, and personality. What trumps all of that is your energy management. It is much more important than your intellectual quotient. Thank you, Mom, Dad, Granny, and Grandpa, and the ancestors for your IQ. Doesn't matter. You've got to have energy in order to survive, to pivot, to change, to find the new normal. So I'm going to share some very explicit tips with you. To be precise, there are 5 categories I'm going to share with you. And we're going to put our safety belts on, because I could have you here for 2 days with 5 categories. I'm going to give you practical, everyday tips. But I'm going to ask you to implement these tips. I'm going to ask you at the end of my session who is going to do what. And for those of you who will email me explicitly with your 5 things you do differently out of the session, you will get 3 gifts. 3. Yes? I told you bribery is alive and well. You will get my, to Lauren's point, it is a strange word, quotient. You will get my Fab Quotient book. You will get a poster of the 5 tips. And the third thing you will get is not mine. And I have to say, I am forever grateful to the man who designed what I'm going to give to you. Why? Because I did it unknowingly in February. In February this year, anyone heard of Gilan Gork? Yeah? I did his high performance mentality challenge, and that has stood me in very, very good stead. So you're going to get a free 14-day challenge. It's 11 minutes per day to really sharpen up what we call the cortex. So that's the thinking part of your brain. So you get 3 gifts, but I'm of the belief that nothing for nothing. You need to work. You need to tell me as a behaviorist what behaviors you're going to shift. So if your email comes through and says, thank you for the session, where are my 3 gifts? I'm going to go, have a nice life. Goodbye. Okay. So you need to take notes. What do I look at when I look at behavior change? I look at Professor B.J. Fogg's work. Why? Because my mantra is simplicity at the far side of complexity. How can we make it simple so it's not another flippin' to-do thing on your to-do list every day? We are overwhelmed. So I'm not going to give you stuff that's not easy peasy to do. So Professor B.J. Fogg really said that behavior change is so easy. It's a formula. And the formula goes like this. B stands for behavior, clearly. It's 3 things that have to happen simultaneously. You need to be motivated to change your behavior. You need to have the ability, A for ability, to change your behavior. And you need a P for prompt. So you need 3 things to happen simultaneously, and you will have sustainable behavior change. So this is his graph. And his graph is really easy. His graph says motivation is the y-axis and ability is the x-axis. And then your prompts that succeed are above this green action line. And I'm going to give you an example. And this example is a real example for me. Is that I started doing something, and in fact, maybe I'll pre-frame this a little bit better, is I'll tell you the whole story. The whole story is, as you know, I lost my husband 13 years ago. A good news story is that I met a wonderful man a couple of years ago, and I got remarried 3 years ago. So that's the good news story. The other part of that good news story is he said to me, I'm taking you away on honeymoon, darling, to Ireland. You've never been to Ireland. Of course, he had a self-interest part to that decision and destination, because you two were playing in Dublin at Croke Park on their 30th anniversary of their Joshua Tree album. So it was nothing for me. It was all about him. But what can you say, hey? I'd never been to Ireland, and I was really excited. Lauren mentioned that I'm a mad runner. And when I was coming back from that honeymoon trip, I was going to run a 5-day trail run in Robertson in the Cape. Robertson, Wellington, that whole beautiful area. And anyway, I love running, but I'm a little bit of a kind of wussy kind of girl. I don't do running in the rain. Like heavy, soggy shoes, I just don't see the point. So this deal is we went away to Ireland on honeymoon, and guess what? It rained every flippin' day. So I couldn't run. We stayed in tiny Airbnb places. You couldn't swing a cat. There were no gyms across the road. So I thought, how am I going to keep fit over this 2.5-week honeymoon? We were traveling, driving our hired car, 1,700 kilometers we traveled. And I thought, sure, but Herbert, what am I going to do? I'm just going to get fatter and fatter and more unfit. And I'm running with a whole group of 20 mates. They can't leave me on one of the mountains in Robertson. So Professor B.J. Fogg came back to mind. And I thought, what can I do that's easy peasy, but I can do it with regularity? So what happens when you're on holiday? You tend to drink more than you do at home. I'm talking alcoholic and non-alcoholic. Am I right? And when you're traveling around, you will stop and have a coffee here, and you'll have a cup of tea there, and then wine with lunch, and then more coffee in the afternoon, and then 15 Guinness at night, etc., etc. So what happened, and I'm going to have to be graphic here and real, is that you go to the loo more often when you drink more. The ecosystem just works like that. Am I right? So as we were driving around, I thought to myself, right, I'm going to probably go to the loo 10 or 12 times a day. So every time I flush the toilet, I'm going to do 10 squats. So stand up with me very quickly, please, and let's enact this, because you'll never forget this behavior change formula. Okay, Kevin has gone bright red. He cannot believe I'm making him do this. And he's going to phone Charlotte and say to Charlotte, the PSSA are no longer involved. This woman went mad on stage. Okay, so here's the deal. Is that you want to change your behavior, you've got to find an easy thing to do, but you have to find a prompt. So please steal this idea with pride, because many people have. The prompt is, and do it with me, is you've just had a lovely lunch and a few glasses of wine, maybe one glass of wine, and you flush the loo. You're still in the cubicle. So everybody flush. You know how to do that. You haven't opened the door of the cubicle yet to go and wash your hands. You're still in the cubicle because you're too embarrassed to do this in the kind of lobby area of the bathrooms, okay? So now we're going to do 10 squats. Invariably, they're tiny, these little cubicles, but you can stretch out your arms. So please stretch out your arms. Right, pull your belly button in. We'll just do 10 because this is all it takes. It's really tiny, tiny. So belly button in, and can I just demonstrate that this is not a squat? Okay? The bottom must go lower than the seat of your chair. So when I say, oh yes, we're getting front row guys, yeah, they're getting ready. Lauren's moved out of her area. Everyone's looking good. Some guys, this guy in the jeans here, he's limbering up. He's like, yeah, I can do this. Very nice. Okay, so we are going to count backwards, and I'm going to do it fast because I've got other stuff to share with you. Everybody happy? Tummy in, shoulders down, arms out. Let's go. 10, low. 9, 8, keep with me. 7, 6, no one's pregnant. Please, 5, I should have asked. 4, you're going low. Where are we? 3, hey? 2, we're looking good. 2, we're looking good. 2, we're looking good. 2, we're looking good. And 1. Some of you are going, no, she's lost it. Okay, take a seat. You will never forget Professor B.J. Fogg. So what we often do if we want to start a new habit is we start, we watch Comrades and then we go, oh my goodness gracious me, I need to go and run 10 kilometers. No, go and walk a park run, for heaven's sake. So don't start here, where it takes a lot of motivation and it's particularly hard to do. Whatever behavior shift out of Boost that you want to try, please start here, where it's easy peasy to do. So just to finish my honeymoon story, having done 0 squats before I went on honeymoon, I started to do 120, 140 a day. And I can tell you right now, that was 3.5 years ago. I still do that when I go to the bathroom. So I do whatever. Sometimes it's not as many as 120 a day. Maybe I only go, to the loo now 6 times a day. But you do 60 squats. very good for your quads, really, really good for your glutes. We are sitting too much, especially during COVID times. So if you're wanting to exercise, please don't make it hard. Just think, in the morning, I'm going to do, 30 seconds of skipping. Break it down into bite-sized chunks. I'll speak a bit more about that later. So I'm saying this to you because when you plant these very small seeds, guess what grows? Is a jolly big pumpkin. So behavior shift is all about the small things you do frequently, but you need to link it to a trigger. That's why I gave you my authentic story about the bathroom, because you never forget to flush the chain. So then you're never going to forget to do 10 squats. Okay. Small things done frequently. Okay, so we now know about behavior shift. I now want us to just listen to Professor BJ Fogg. Here he is here. Some of us in winter are drinking too much coffee, so we need to drink a bit more water. And I just thought you should see the guy behind this brilliant research. So let's listen to him. It's a very short video.
Do you want to change your life for the better? Have better health habits, for example? Well, if so, I've got 3 words for you. And here they are. Simplicity changes behavior. Now that's not the typical thing most people think when they think about changing their behavior. They think about motivation. I've got to be motivated. But the fact of the matter is, simplicity is more important than motivation in changing behavior. Now I won't go into the details why, that's a longer video, but let me just give you an example. Let's say, for example, you want to drink more water, and a lot of people want to do this. If you get a water glass and you put it right where you're working throughout the day, chances are you're going to drink a lot of water. It's right there within arm's reach. Now, if you don't have water with you and you have to go somewhere to get water, like way over here, guess what? The odds of you drinking water go way down. Now, the fact is we humans are naturally lazy. And most people don't put it that directly, but I'll just tell you, we're lazy. We go from A to B. If we want to accomplish a task, we do a straight line. We don't want to do extra work. And so if something requires us to go a little bit farther, work a little bit harder, we'll find reasons not to do it. Think of the water glass. Put it right next to you. For the behaviors you want in your life, invest a little bit of time and make that behavior easier to do. It might be setting out your gym clothes in the morning, so they're right there ready to go. It might be after you buy the vegetables, washing them, cutting them up, putting in the fridge, so they're easy to grab when you are looking for a snack. Or it simply might be fill up the water glass, put it right at your workspace, and I think you'll find yourself drinking a lot more water throughout the day. The key is simplicity changes behavior. I'm BJ Fogg, and I'm happy to share these insights with you.
I know him, he knows us, he knows our book, etc. I have no financial link to him. But if you want to do a fantastic online course, just look at Tiny Habits, BJ Fogg. You can do it online on Zoom. He is absolutely brilliant. What you see there is what you get, natural, authentic, and it was a game changer for me doing his course a couple of years ago. I travel with my water mug, pretty much like you do. I put peppermint oil in, and it's right at my fingertips. It's in my car, it's on my desk. How many glasses of water should you drink a day? Any shout-outs? 8. Wrong. When you're thirsty, wrong. Come on. 2 liters, wrong. Socrates said, knowing thyself is the beginning of wisdom. So here's the deal. If you weigh 90 kilograms, you need 9 glasses of water. So take your weight, divide by 10, that's how much water you need. How big's a glass? How long's a piece of string? The normal kind of little 250 ml glass. Okay. So that was a chirp. You can have, let's just see, it's got paper around it. I don't have a mask on. This lady's looking at me like I'm naughty. Oh, look at that, Kevin. Take that, yes. So Socrates said, knowing thyself is the beginning of wisdom. Jump on that scale, know how much you weigh, divide by 10. Some of you were looking for some divine inspiration to divide by 10, which is a problem. Just know how much water. Your brain needs water. Most of us have a cup of caffeine in the morning as we wake up, tea or coffee. Your brain goes from a grape overnight, and it shrinks by 30%. 30% overnight, those neurons shrink. So you need to plump up your brain in the morning. I always make my coffee. I love coffee in the morning. Thank you, Lauren, just got me coffee. But I always have hot water at the same time. Okay, so now are we ready to boost? Yep. 5 categories I promised you. Boost is the acronym to boost your personal and professional and business resilience. So any guesses, anybody, what the B stands for? Sorry? Behavior, no. That's a good guess, though. Brains, no. Another good guess. The B is for bed. How about that? Okay, so let's use our hands. If you're sitting at home, if you can please use your left hand as a mnemonic device, because this you're going to carry out of this room with you. You'll never forget. This B is on your pinky finger, which means pinky promise to yourself. If the lights went out or something happened here where it all run out the room and I only gave you B, as Lauren introduced me, I'm writing a book on sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. This trumps everything else. It trumps what you eat, how you move, whatever else you do in terms of your body's physiology. So B for bed and your pinky promise if you're sitting at home is really what you want to do. So I'm going to just share some insights with you. We are all stressed. Stress is here to stay, and a little bit of stress is not bad for you. It's this ongoing stress that's relentless that fries our brain. So what happens is we are inextricably linked to dealing with stress if we sleep well. So the more you sleep, the more your body can handle stress. So you're growing these 700 neurons per day. And I've got a little neuron here with a dendrite. It's so jolly cute, so I thought I'll show it to you. So you're growing 700 of these chaps a day. Here are the dendrites connecting to this other neuron here. Between these two neurons, in that dendrite space is a synapse. Most of you know that. During the day, you actually develop plaque in that synapse. You know how you develop plaque in your teeth? Yep. That plaque has got a name in your brain. It's called beta amyloid. The only time you get rid of that plaque developed by stress is when you go lala at night. Okay? So any of you worried about Alzheimer's or dementia? You should be, because that's on the increase. And it's not for our grannies and grandpas. I do some volunteer work in a home for dementia, and the youngest person they have there is younger than me. She's 50. So you'll see worldwide, Alzheimer's and dementia is on the increase. So we've got to have a look at how we manage our stress. I'm finding people are doing this. They're going, okay, Joni, I didn't sleep well last night, definitely can't exercise this morning. I'm feeling so wound up today. I need a burger, and then I don't sleep so well again. The vicious circle. So it starts with sleep. How many hours are you getting a night? Just shout out. 5, Alzheimer's, and I'm not lying. 8, take the rest of the day off. 8, 7, 6. This lady said 6. There was a worldwide piece of research done. It's huge. 70,000 women over a 16-year period. Women who were sleeping 6 hours a night gained 12% body weight year on year. That is up to 15 kilograms, just because you were only sleeping 6 hours a night. So the body accumulates fat when it is sleep deprived. I've got a blog on our website which says, sleep your way to losing weight. And actually it's one of the, highest read blogs, because it's true. Just make sure that you know who you're sleeping with. I'm only teasing. Just make sure that you're getting minimum 7 hours a night. So if you haven't watched this TED Talk, it's a brilliant TED Talk, and I'm going to show you a snippet. I'm just going to show you the front frame of it, not the entire TED Talk. But this is Professor Matthew Walker. Investec 2 years ago gave out his book at the end of the year to their top clients. Investec apparently give out 10 books a year to their top high net worth clients, and Why We Sleep by Professor Matthew Walker was one of them. and his TED Talks are brilliant. So you need minimum 7 hours, maximum 9, and you've got to find out where you are and what you need. I can say hand on heart that I know when I've got a bit of a scratchy throat or that dull headache, not really a headache, but you just feel a bit brain fogged, then I know that I absolutely need 8 hours. But invariably, because I've fine-tuned my circadian clock, I go to sleep at the same time almost 7 nights a week, and I wake up without an alarm clock. So I'd like to be provocative, and I'd like you to shift behaviors. You need an alarm clock to send you to bed, and you do not need an alarm clock to wake you up. So turn this on its head. Because if your body is in a good circadian rhythm, you will wake up naturally, even though it's dark and cold early hours of the morning in Johannesburg. What is the science behind sleep? When I looked at this and I started to study sleep, I was really fortunate to be invited to Washington, D.C. 3.5 years ago to work with Arianna Huffington, who wrote the book Sleep Revolution. As you know, she fell down on her glass desk, broke her jaw, and hence she sold Huffington Post and started Thrive, a fantastic podcast. Anyway, I thought I'd better read her book before I go, and I'm going to say quietly that it was a tough read. I didn't finish it. But Why We Sleep, Matthew Walker, I did. Anyway, why am I telling you that particular war story? Because I'm forever grateful to Arianna Huffington, because having really been invited to that conference and then reading part of her book, I started to research sleep. And I started to change my own habits. This particular circadian rhythm slide was illuminating for me. So you go to sleep. You're just drifting off and, the door bangs. Or there's a barking dog and you wake up. Yep, light sleep. You go, if you don't hear that and you're going to deeper, stage 3, stage 4 sleep, this is where the brain gets rid of beta amyloid, the plaque between the neurons. You then circle up, you have a rapid eye movement, you dream a bit, and then you circle down again. And you circle up, and you circle down, and you circle up. And this is the early hours of the morning where you should wake up naturally. So again, hand on heart, I'm going to share some things that I do very practically. And in summertime, we can have an almighty storm above our house in Parktown North. And around the breakfast table in the morning, my children, if they're home, and my hubby say, "Oh my goodness, we have been awake since 3 a.m. And I go, "Really? What happened?" And they go, "It was a storm." And I go, "I heard nothing." My family are convinced I'm on drugs. Because if I'm in a deep stage 4 sleep, I don't hear a thing. Not a thing. So that's what you want to train your brain to do. It's designed to go into this deep sleep. I do track my sleep. This is a free app. It's called Sleep Cycle. It looks like that. This is actually from one of my, it's an actual screenshot from last year. You can see I go to sleep very quickly. Vroom. This was deep stage 4 sleep. This is probably menopause, and then I went back to sleep and I woke up naturally, okay? So really track your sleep. If you don't measure it, you don't manage it. Sleep Cycle, it's a great free app. Okay, what about your body if you have too little sleep? Why do we, that vicious circle that I showed you, why do we tend to eat more? Because the hormonal system in this ecosystem is designed that way. Insufficient sleep will actually produce too little leptin. Too little leptin, you have a nice brekkie, could be egg on toast and bacon and tomatoes, and it's lovely and delicious. But you finish that and you go, think another slice of toast with marmalade and cheese. But you've just had a big brekkie. It's because you've got too little leptin in your system. You've had your breakfast, but you don't feel full. And you've got too much ghrelin in your system, which is another hormone produced if you have insufficient sleep. You just want to keep eating. An hour after that delicious breakfast, you are thinking, where's the mid-morning snack? So the body's designed to take in more nutrients when you have too little sleep. That's why you can sleep your way to being thin. Also, without sleep, you've heard about hangry. A similar thing happens in the brain. Not to get into the depth of neuroscience here, but what happens when you have good sleep is information comes into your brain through your eyes, through your ears, through your nose, all your senses are firing well. It comes in and it goes to the cortex first, which goes, hey, how should I handle this difficult situation? Do I need a courageous conversation? Should I have it with that colleague now? Should I send them an email? Should I pick up the phone? And then it goes to your emotional center. But oh my goodness, of course, the brain is a survival organ. So when you're out in the savannas and something stressful happens, it doesn't go to the cortex first. It goes straight to the fight or flight amygdala. And I can tell you we are living in an era of fight or flight. That amygdala in your brain is firing all the time now. I went to that conference today at the forum. Did I pick up anything? Did I sanitize enough? Did I social distance enough? That's happening to you subconsciously. But your brain, of course, has this terrible release of cortisol and adrenaline all the time when you are anxious, fearful, uncertain, or feeling overwhelmed. And we tend to feel like that more if we've had insufficient quality sleep. Who of you, when you get into bed, the last thing you kiss goodnight is your mobile or your iPad? Oh, some people are hanging their heads in shame. I see Lauren. Yes, or you've got a dreaded TV in your bedroom. Do you know that the bedroom is for 3 things? Yep. Sleep, reading a paper book, or intimacy. Do not eat, do not watch TV, do not work, nothing else in your bedroom. Question. It's psychological, and what it does is it gets you will drop off, not off like this, but you won't get to stage 4 sleep. Why? There's a science behind it, and this is the science here, is that if you can't see my little stand, I'm not going to pick it up because it's actually looking a bit broken at the moment. So stand up if you can't see the stand, please. So your TV in your bedroom, I don't know the gentleman's name, you drop off to sleep because you're physically exhausted, but your brain is not going to thank you for it because the TV, your mobile, or your laptop is sending out that blue light. What does that blue light do? It goes into your eyes, it affects your pineal gland. Your pineal gland produces melatonin. Melatonin gets you into stage 4 slow wave sleep, which rejuvenates your sleep. So it's a fallacy that I need TV to nod off. It is not the way to go. If you do want to watch TV, and sometimes, yes, I do have to work at night, I wear these red glasses. They are sleep spec glasses. You can get them on our website. The guy that introduced me to these is Dr. Rob Daniel, if any of you know him. He is the specialist ophthalmologist with 5 medical degrees at Morningside Clinic. And we were chatting about various things, and he said, Joni, wear these glasses at night. So I wear them 1 hour before I go to bed. And yes, we get blue light coming out of our LED lights in the ceiling, our bedside lights, etc. But I have found that I sleep really deeply as a result of wearing the blue glasses. There are ones there, you can see these ones here if you want to have a look at them afterwards. You can put your optical lenses in, so if you are a person who wears glasses, you can take this to your optometrist. So go red 1 hour before bed. The other thing that you may want to do is you may want to support the Ria Boca Foundation. They are rural ladies who bead for a living. Most of them have lost their children, and they are looking after their grandchildren. They make these feel fab books for us, beds for us. So if you are tempted to use this dreaded thing, switch it on to airplane mode. You can still use Sleep Cycle on airplane mode. Put it under the duvet, on the pillow, and let it go lala. It must be on airplane mode if it's next to your bed. Otherwise, the electromagnetic fields that are coming through are going to give you brain cancer, breast cancer, or prostate cancer. So I've been supporting them for many years now. So my children, when they walk into my bedroom, this is on airplane mode, and it's in its own bed. So it's a note to self, switching off the day. Yep. The other thing you can do, and the Ria Boca Foundation make these for us as well, And it's our corporate social investment. So I'm not making money out of this, but if you want to invest in some ladies, these are the ladies. Is I go to sleep with this on. So we have got slatted blinds, pretty much like this. And if it's full moon, those shafts of light come through my bedroom window. And actually, we've got a street light that also comes through. So that light penetrates your eyelid and also affects your pineal gland. So I go to sleep with this on, and va va voom, it's completely dark. And funny enough, I stopped doing it for a while because I started sleeping with a pillow half over my head. And this weekend, I put these back on again. I just found it in the bag that I had. And on Saturday night, I must say, I had the best night's sleep ever. I was away at the Vaal Dam, and I decided I want to sleep in. It's been quite a hard week. I normally get up between 4:30 and 5, naturally every morning without an alarm, and I slept until 8. So my body obviously needed that, but it only happened because I was completely dark. So support the Ria Borker Foundation. Go to our website if you want to look at sleep spec. But if you're walking around at night or you can't get out of the habit of watching TV, you may want to just go read before bed. I'm not going to play this video. That's what I would like you to look for. This is Professor Matthew Walker's video. It really explains to you how your brain is designed to flush out that beta amyloid and make sure that you don't develop the toxins in your brain. So we need minimum 7 hours sleep. That's part of the story. But actually, you can have 7 or 8 hours sleep, and it can be rubbish sleep. The thing that's more important than quantity is quality, and he speaks about it here. He speaks about the fact, and it is a sad reality, because now we are really revering our frontline health service workers who are working through the night in hospitals, but any night shift work is carcinogenic. That's a reality. Unless those nurses and doctors have reset their circadian rhythm and have got blackened out curtains and go to their bedrooms and sleep solidly for 7 hours during the day and reset that circadian rhythm so it's in that rhythm day in and day out, for their shifts, they will develop cancer. So the research is really, really robust now around sleep. So get the number of hours, but most importantly, get quality sleep. Wake up refreshed. How do you know if you've got quality sleep? When you've reset your circadian rhythm, you do not need an alarm to wake up. You wake up naturally. And refreshed and ready to go. Okay. So the first O is about oxygen. And I spent a long time on sleep. The next 4 letters, put your safety belts on. We're going to go quickly. The O is for oxygen to your brain. I love my running. Absolutely love it. I found that after my husband died, I suffered anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and I could not get rid of them. And the only thing that helped me was running. So obviously I've got a positive association with running now, and it really helped me get back on my feet and kind of walk the road of life again. But some of you don't enjoy running. You can't go to the gym. You actually just don't enjoy exercise at all. So this section is for you. If you want to grow those 700 neurons a day, your brain is plastic, neuroplasticity, you need to do something. So sitting is the new smoking. If you are sitting for longer than 2 hours a day, your good cholesterol goes down by 40%. So we have got to make sure that we are moving. When we move, we produce a protein in our brain called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And it's a miracle growth for your brain. So those synapses start to connect. New neurons are grown. This can happen well into your 90s. So those of us who are starting to use age as a memory issue, like, I used to remember the names or remember this, I'm starting to lose my memory, rubbish. You don't need to lose your memory as long as you move on a daily basis. So we've got to unravel our brain around movement. It gives us these fantastic endorphins, but it really unlocks the power of this organ between your ears. So how can you do it if you detest exercise? Simply take your mobile phone and look at your diary for the day. Hand on heart, I do this every day. as I look at what are the things I'm doing, when can I move during the day? And I ensure that I'm up out of my chair every 60 to 90 minutes. So it can be microbursts of activity. If we go to BJ Fogg, if you really detest exercise, but you want to do the 20 minutes minimum that the World Health Organization says you need, maybe you do this. You wake up in the morning. If it's your habit to go straight to the kettle and put it on, that's a prompt. While the kettle is boiling, please go to your lounge floor, do some dips on your lounge suite, do some star jumps, do burpees, do whatever you like. Do that for 7 minutes. You then come back into your kitchen before lunch. You put the kettle on, you may be heating something up, do another 7 minutes. You then ending your workday, and some of us are battling to ring fence our workdays, aren't we? But you're ending your workday to maybe make a meal with the family or for the family, do another 7 minutes. 7 minutes is doable. If you've got toddlers running between your feet, have your dogs, your fur children, do something that really gets your heart rate elevated 3 times a day for 7 minutes if you don't want to segment your day into these bite-sized chunks. So exercising first thing in the morning, I find, is the way to go, and there is neuroscience around that because it really boosts your serotonin and your dopamine levels. You'll feel good. You'll start to think creatively about what you want to do during the day. Also keeps you energized, and it just manages the cortisol. So more serotonin, less cortisol. I do track not my steps, but I do track what I do in terms of running or moving during the day. Some of you who don't like those activities, just track on your phone how many steps you're taking. I've got some of the people that I coach are standing at the end of the day watching the daily news doing this, which is fine. Do 10,000 steps a day. What I have outside my office, which during lockdown 5 was my very best friend and continues to be my very best friend, is this rebounder. So yes, it looks like a mini trampoline, and it's the same size as a mini trampoline. This does have a handle on it, and I can tell you in lockdown 5, I was watching my family do their park runs in the garden, very small garden, I have to tell you, and get that track going and injure ankles, etc. I was jumping on my trampoline, listening to good podcasts. As soon as lockdown 5 ended and we could run between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., I went out straight away and ran a 10-kilometer run with my mates. I suppose I shouldn't say with my mates because that was still illegal. Hey, okay, rewind. I went outside and I ran a 10-kilometer run with my dog. And why do I say that? It's because there is NASA research. Returning astronauts coming back to Earth, their muscles have atrophied. So this little microburst of activity, if you bounce on a rebounder for 2 minutes, it's equivalent to a 6-kilometer run 6 minutes of running, not 6 kilometer. What happened there? That sounded good, didn't it? No, it's not. A 6-minute run. So 2 minutes is a 6-minute run, a 10-minute swim, and a 22-minute walk. So I have this outside my office. You've just done a strategy, written a document, designed something, and you go, but what do I do next? I'll go and bounce for 2 minutes. Again, you can get these off our website. I particularly like to use the handle because your knees can go higher, you can hold on, etc. If I've got an early morning meeting or Zoom meeting, I do it in the dark and literally jumping outside my office. It's a fantastic piece of equipment. Nature also reboots the soul, so we've spoken about water, but if you can, even in winter, so beautiful during the day. Take your shoes off. We wear rubber-soled shoes. We don't get Mother Nature, that grounding feeling. I don't do that every day, I've got to be honest, but on Saturdays and Sundays, I absolutely do. Okay, so that was oxygen to your brain. Anyone written down their tips? Because remember, when you write down your tips and you email me, you will get the 3 prizes. Now we're moving on to open your heart. So we spoke a little bit about emotions earlier. I belong to a company that's a .org organization. They are in 174 countries. They have a big, hairy, audacious goal that by the year 2039, 1 billion people will understand emotional intelligence. I want to live in a world where we understand emotional intelligence. So why do I say that? Because there's a lot of research around it. And we are trying to get people to understand that there's a difference between intellectual quotient, personality, and EQ. So this is a seesaw. Imagine you've got little Johnny on this side of the seesaw and you've got Nick on that side of the seesaw. Here's the 30-second soundbite. You are born, little Johnny, with your intellectual quotient. Thank you, Mum, Dad, and I spoke about this earlier, grannies and grandpas. You are born, this is the Enneagram, I teach the Enneagram, you are born one of the 9 personality styles. What makes the seesaw move is your emotional quotient. It is this fulcrum below here. So we can learn emotional quotient. It is the blending of how you think and how you feel. Your brain has, most of your brain is the limbic system, is how you feel. This front part I spoke about earlier is called the prefrontal cortex, how you solve complex problems. We're in a pandemic, we need to solve complex problems. The World Economic Forum has said by the year 2022, the future world of work, this must be brought forward, this is one of the 10 competencies that each of you as leaders in this room managing your businesses need to have. So how are you going to learn emotional intelligence? It has twice the power of IQ to predict your performance. It is also a better predictor than employee skill, employee knowledge, or employee experience. I work with quite a few teams here and luckily internationally, and they say, Joni, right, this is our team, you know us, we want this person to join this team, please test them. I don't care about their personality, I don't care about their IQ. What I do care about is their EQ and their fit, cohesiveness with the team. So you can measure your EQ. If we have a look at this worldwide, this is 100,000 people, emotional intelligence on the x-axis here, and we look at performance on the y-axis here, you can see a very, very strong correlation. High-performing people have emotional intelligence. So emotions are primal. Our brains use them to survive. They're universal, doesn't matter where you are in the world. They are functional and they are infectious. And can I say to you that even working over Zoom and MS Teams, etc., I'm starting to see that people are picking up on the emotions of the little thumbnails of people that they're speaking to. Obviously, in a room like this, you know, I'm battling to see your full facial expression, except this gorgeous lady here and these two in the front, but we pick up on each other's emotions. When you open your front door tonight, or this afternoon when you go home, please bear in mind that as you walk into your home, your people in your home who live under your roof will feel your emotions. Emotions are contagious. So please have a look at the fact that COVID's contagious, but how you are self-managing your emotions are also contagious. So if we start to talk about the brain, our conscious brain, this prefrontal cortex, really operates 5% of the time. A lot of the time we are operating on automatic pilot. So we need to understand how our emotions drive our brain. As our feelings change, the molecules of emotions are chemicals in your brain. A kind of neuropeptide travels throughout your body and your brain, and they're literally changing the chemistry of every cell in your body and sending out vibrations to other people. That's a professor, Professor Candace Perkt. So this is the wheel that I said I would share with you. Please write this down and Google it and download it. This is Professor Plutchik, Plutchik. It's his wheel of emotions. And I spoke about naming it to tame it. I have one of these on my desk. I have one of these on our dining room table. I have one of these in our kitchen. So why do I have these? It's because many of us only use 3 or 4 words to name our emotions. If you're going to tame your emotions like you did with the burnout wheel, turning around and speaking to each other, you need stronger vocabulary. So Plutchik designed this wheel. There are 32 emotions in here. The intense emotions are in the epicenter. Each of these petals get less intense. So let's just say you're in a rage. And I don't know if any of you do have teenagers, but my teenagers will go, Mum, I'm in such a rage. And I go, are you really? just because your mate won't do X, Y, Z. No, you're not in a rage, for goodness sake. Let's just take it down to specificity. You are annoyed that that person didn't deliver on their promises. You're not in a rage. So please name it to tame it accurately. What level of intensity is your emotion? I was explaining to one of my daughters the other day. She was talking about boys. I said, leave them alone until they're over 25. Why is that? Because their prefrontal cortex is only developed after they're older than 25. And she said, but what is love? I said, actually, if you use Plutchik's model, love is the intersection between someone that you trust and that brings out the joy in you. And actually, this is so beautiful in his model, is between each of the petals, there is a intersecting emotion. So here is love between joy and trust. Here's optimism between joy and anticipation. So there's something very practical you could do to develop your emotional intelligence. Okay, we're winding up. So we've got S and T. S is a favorite topic of mine. Stop sugar and start supplements, but I'm going to go fast here. Your brain really is this amazing organ. It's only 2% of your body's mass, but it consumes 20% of your energy. So are you putting the right food into your brain? Sugar is toxic. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. When your mom and dad walked down the supermarket aisles and they bought peanut butter, it did not have sugar in it. Bread did not have sugar in it. So 80% of our foodstuffs now have sugar in it. I was going to get you to do that exercise. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say to you from a categorical point of view here, in terms of your optimal blood sugar range, you do not want to have sugar, starch, or simple carbohydrates. If you want energy throughout the day, and your body is designed to have as much energy at 7 p.m. as it had at 7 a.m., you want to eat proteins, complex carbohydrates, and enough fiber. Remember I said that energy is more important than intelligence. So if you do like sugar, so does inflammation, arthritis, cancer, Alzheimer's, and high blood pressure. We in COVID times do not want an inflamed body. You want to keep that inflammation down. If you have sugar now at lunchtime and you go home and you go via a supermarket, COVID on the trolley, let me tell you, well, your body has your immune system is compromised for the next 7 hours for every teaspoon of sugar that you have. Sugar is the enemy, everybody. So think about food as fuel for your system, for energy. Think about how do you fuel your body or your mind. Just the practical things here is have whole foods, real foods. Go as natural as you can. Please read ingredient lists. Make sure you're not putting rubbish in your trolley. If you don't have it in your home, you are not going to eat it. Think about your feelings, how that intersects with what you eat. So HALT is a very good acronym. Are you hungry? Yes or no? Sometimes we eat just when we're thirsty. Are you angry? Many of us, included me, I eat when I'm angry. Are you lonely or are you tired? We eat for the wrong reasons. Robert Peel says the best and most efficient pharmacy is within your own system. So stop sugar and start supplements. Okay, lastly on the BOOST acronym is time for fun. Did any of your mothers say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail? Yep. So I'm going to be succinct here in terms of time for fun. We know it boosts our businesses. We know there's a huge value in it. Sean Acor has got a fantastic TED Talk and quite a few books around the happiness advantage and really what happens to your brain and your energy system when you are happy. I just say quite clearly and succinctly, change your words to change your world. If you want to be happier, just watch what you are saying to other people. Watch what you are listening to. So I'm often saying, what are the small things I can do in my control? When I'm driving around, I've got bread and things in my car that I can give people at robots. What am I doing in terms of mindfully appreciating the small moments? I have 2 grandchildren, and that brings me a lot of joy. So change your words to change your world. The other thing I do, and you're welcome to email me to get this, I know that you can't read it from the back of the room, but very often we look at our life in terms of work and home. there are 9 dimensions to a resilient life. So we've spoken quite a lot about body health. You know about your career. What about your own spirituality and reflection? What about you volunteering and helping other people? What are you doing about your financial health, your love and romance, your intellectual pursuits? What are you studying? There's so much beautiful free work out there to use and to study. What are you doing, even if you can't see your family and friends, to help them out? And what are you doing for fun and games? And we've had gratitude cards in our house that we write to each other. We've had dress-up dinners. We've had quiz nights. We've had a lot of fun, actually, during lockdown while we couldn't get out of our gates. So what is your next action step? What are you going to do that you're motivated to do, that you absolutely have the ability to do, but most importantly, like flushing the chain, you are prompted to do it? There is my email address. If you have been engaged with Boost and you've thought about what you're going to do to change your sleep hygiene, B for bed, change your oxygen levels to your brain, any specific habit, how you're going to open your heart, what you're going to do to stop sugar or start supplements, and what are you going to do for time for fun, an email with 5 phrases or 5 specific actions will get you the Fab ebook, will get you the Boost poster, and will get you Gilan Gork's 14 Days to High Mental Performance. Thank you, everybody.